Over the past few weeks, I asked you to share your favorite movies to watch on Halloween. And today's video is built entirely from your picks. But the list doesn't have to stop here. In the comments under this video, you can keep adding your own Halloween favorites, the classics everyone loves, or the ones nobody talks about but should. We're starting with The Fog, a mostly atmospheric piece from horror legend John Carpenter. It's a haunting revenge story set around Antonio Bay's Centennial, a coastal town built on secrets that's about to face the consequences. The shots of ghostly figures emerging from the mist are striking, and even if it doesn't leave the same mark as some of Carpenter's other work, you can tell you're in the hands of a master. It's one of those films that feels made for October, and I completely agree with the comment calling it a great ghost story that captures the spirit of the spooky side of Halloween. Let's Scare Jessica to Death is one of those 70s horror films that never got the love it deserved, so if it's not on your watch list yet, it should be. After leaving a mental institution, Jessica, played by Zora Lampert, moves with her husband and a friend to a quiet farmhouse in Connecticut, hoping to start over. But the house already has a resident, a mysterious young woman named Emily, whose presence slowly unravels Jessica's fragile peace. Slow, eerie, and beautifully offbeat, it's a film that feels like a waking dream, one that's impossible to shake once you've seen it. This film can easily be called one of the best British horror movies of all time. Hellraiser begins with a mysterious puzzle box that opens a gateway to another dimension, a world of pain and pleasure, ruled by the Cenobites and their chilling leader, Pinhead. Clive Barker's debut is both grotesque and strangely elegant, mixing body horror, desire, and the kind of imagination that feels truly dangerous. Many sequels and remakes have followed, some surprisingly decent, but none have come close to capturing the original's twisted beauty and power. Released in 1990, Jacob's Ladder follows Jacob Singer, a Vietnam veteran haunted by flashbacks, hallucinations, and faceless figures that seem to follow him through New York's gray streets. Now working as a postal clerk, Jacob struggles to keep his sanity while the line between memory and reality begins to dissolve. The film thrives on misdirection and paranoia, showing a man still fighting a war long after it's over, this time inside his own mind. If you're drawn to psychological thrillers that explore the human mind while flirting with something inhuman, this one's for you. Welcome to Potter's Bluff, a quiet coastal town with the slogan, "A New Way of Life," and they mean it literally. Its friendly residents have a nasty habit of murdering strangers who pass through. Sheriff Dan Gillis, played by James Ferrantino, tries to make sense of a wave of killings that defy logic, while the local coroner, played by Jack Albertson, seems to know more than he lets on. It's an eerie, inventive take on the undead mythos that digs up some queasy ideas from the grave soil of the genre, and keep an eye out for a young Robert Englund wandering the streets of Potter's Bluff a few years before his nights on Elm Street. I actually watched The Kindred after seeing it mentioned in the comments, and it turned out to be a great find. It follows a young scientist who, after his mother's death, discovers she'd been conducting secret genetic experiments that should have never existed. When he and his colleagues start digging into her research, they uncover something monstrous and something very personal hiding in her lab. Inventive and gory, entertaining and thought-provoking, with a nod to Lovecraft and a wink to Frankenstein, it's one of those 80s horror films that feels ahead of its time. Directed by Alan Parker, the British filmmaker behind Midnight Express, Angel Heart is a dark, unsettling blend of film noir and supernatural horror. Set in the 1950s, it follows private detective Harry Angel, played by Mickey Rourke in one of his best roles, who is hired by a mysterious man named Louis Cypher, played by Robert De Niro, to find a missing singer named Johnny Favorite. The case takes him from New York to New Orleans, into a world of conspiracy, voodoo, and corruption. Loosely based on William Yortzberg's novel Falling Angel, the film feels like a Faustian nightmare told through the lens of classic noir. All smoke, sweat, and sin. Now let's turn to a classic, and probably the most famous film John Carpenter ever made. A reimagining of 1951's The Thing from Another World. Carpenter's version keeps the premise, but takes it somewhere far darker. You know the story. A group of scientists isolated in Antarctica discover a shape-shifting creature that can imitate any living being. Cut off from the world, they begin to turn on each other, unable to tell who's still human. When it first came out, The Thing didn't do well. Released the same summer as Spielberg's hopeful E.T., it was simply too dark for most audiences. But time has been kind to it. The effects still look incredible, the paranoia is flawless, and it plays like a mix of sci-fi, mystery, and pure nightmare. If Night of the Living Dead defined the zombie genre, The Return of the Living Dead turned it upside down. When two warehouse workers accidentally unleash a gas that reanimates the dead, the night spirals into total madness, complete with running zombies, brain-eating ghouls, and one of the most iconic soundtracks of the 1980s. Loud, quotable, and gleefully irreverent, it's the movie that gave us fast zombies, more brains, and a new way to have fun with the apocalypse. Keeping the zombie chaos going, Braindead, or Dead Alive, might just be the wildest of them all. It follows Lionel, a quiet young man trying to keep his overprotective mother under control, until she's bitten by a bizarre rat monkey and turns into a flesh-eating zombie. Soon the entire town is infected, and what follows is pure chaos, outrageous, over the top, and somehow still hilarious. Equal parts disgusting and delightful, it's one of the most insane splatter comedies ever made. And yes, this was Peter Jackson, less than 10 years before The Lord of the Rings. If you're looking for something directly tied to Halloween, this is it. Trick or Treat is an anthology of 4 interwoven stories: The Principal, The School Bus Massacre, Surprise Party, and Meet Sam, all connected by Sam, a mysterious trick-or-treater who appears whenever someone breaks the rules of Halloween. It perfectly captures the spirit of the holiday: mischievous, eerie, and just a little mean. Originally set for a theatrical release in 2007, it was suddenly pulled by Warner Brothers and sat on the shelf for 2 years, before finally being released on DVD. Cassandra Peterson, better known as Elvira, took her late-night horror host persona to the big screen in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. It's a campy horror comedy where Elvira inherits a mansion in a small conservative town, instantly clashing with the locals who see her as a corrupting influence. What follows is pure 80s fun, cheeky humor, gothic flair, and a punk rock attitude that turned the movie into a cult classic, especially within queer culture. And if you happen to speak French, take the advice from the comments. Watch it dubbed. Apparently, the French version is even funnier, thanks to Evelyn Grandjean's brilliant voice work. Here's another one actually set on Halloween night. The Midnight Hour is a made-for-TV horror movie from 1985, where a group of teenagers accidentally unleash an ancient curse in the small town of Pitchford Cove, bringing vampires, witches, and zombies back to life just in time for Halloween. The undead blend right in with the trick-or-treaters, at least until things start to get truly out of hand. It's not bloody or brutal. This was TV, after all, but it's full of charm, 80s style, and familiar faces, including a blink-and-you'll-miss-it appearance by a very young Macaulay Culkin. Let's turn back to a classic, and probably one of the scariest films ever made. More than 50 years after its release, The Exorcist still has the power to unsettle like nothing else. It's been imitated endlessly, but no other religious horror has matched its atmosphere, craftsmanship, or sheer intensity. To this day, it's still the film people mean when they say, they don't make them like they used to. If you had to choose one word to describe possession, madness would be a good start. Andrzej Żuławski's 1981 film begins as a raw, emotional drama about a couple, played by Sam Neill and Isabella Gianni, whose marriage is falling apart in Cold War Berlin. But it quickly mutates into something far stranger, a fever dream of betrayal, hysteria, and unearthly horror. There's infidelity, doppelgangers, violent outbursts, and a now legendary subway scene that still feels like watching a nervous breakdown unfold in real time. Equal parts marital drama, body horror, and surreal allegory, Possession is a film like no other. From Beyond is one of the most fascinating intersections of horror and science fiction, bringing together the imagination of Howard Phillips Lovecraft, the direction of Stuart Gordon, and Jeffrey Combs. In the story, Dr. Pretorius invents the resonator, a device that stimulates the pineal gland and opens a gateway to another world. When he's killed by the creatures it reveals, his assistant, Dr. Crawford Tillinghast, is accused of murder. To clear his name, a psychiatrist and a detective repeat the experiment and bring the horror back to life. Lovecraft's stories often explore the terror of the unseen, monstrous things moving through dimensions just beyond human perception. And From Beyond captures that perfectly. The colors, movement, and twisted sexuality are deeply disturbing, and the film never slows down or tones itself down. It dives straight into fear, depravity, and self-destruction. An ambitious horror film from 1979, Phantasm refuses to settle for cliches. Instead of simply putting a monster on screen, it builds an entire world, eerie, mysterious, and full of strange logic. At its core, the film follows an extra-dimensional invasion led by the Tall Man, an imposing figure posing as a small-town undertaker. He exhumes corpses and transforms them into monstrous servants to do his bidding. It's a brilliantly bizarre concept that feels like something out of a fever dream. And then there are the murder balls, metallic spheres armed with drills and blades that fly through the air, burrowing into their victims' skulls. They're one of the most unique and terrifying inventions in horror history. If you're looking for something to watch with the whole family this Halloween, The Nightmare Before Christmas is the perfect choice. It takes us to Halloween Town, where everyone spends the year preparing for one big night until their leader, Jack Skellington, grows tired of the same routine. When he discovers Christmas Town, Jack decides to take over the holiday himself, with chaotic and darkly funny results that only Sally, the ragdoll who loves him, can see coming. The stop-motion animation is stunning. Jack alone had over 400 different heads, and the film featured more than 200 puppets. Based on a 1982 poem by Tim Burton, it was once thought too dark for children. But 3 decades later, it's become a timeless favorite for both Halloween and Christmas. Now let's move to Japan, and to what might be the scariest anime ever made. Created by the director of Perfect Blue and Paprika, Paranoia Agent follows a group of strangers whose lives slowly unravel under the weight of fear and anxiety. Each episode dives into a different story, but they all connect through a strange wave of attacks spreading across the city, blurring the line between rumor and reality. It's not technically a horror series, yet few shows are as deeply unsettling. We've reached the end of the list. And of course, we couldn't finish without Halloween. Often compared to Psycho, and rightfully called the film that defined the modern slasher, John Carpenter's masterpiece tells the story of Michael Myers, a boy who murdered his sister, spent 15 years in an institution, and then escaped to bring terror back to his hometown. Perfectly shot, brilliantly scored, and terrifying in its simplicity, Halloween still stands as the ultimate movie to watch on October 31st. And while we're here, let's talk about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. It's funny, audiences once turned their backs on it for having no Michael Myers. And now, thanks to your comments, it's here precisely because of that. After Halloween 2 wrapped up Michael's story, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill decided to take the series in a new direction, turning it into an anthology of different Halloween tales. This one follows a sinister mask maker who plans a mass sacrifice on Halloween night, blending ancient rituals with modern technology. It might have been judged less harshly if it hadn't been called Halloween 3. And if you've somehow skipped it, this season's the perfect excuse to finally check it out. Or watch it again. And that's our complete Halloween watch list, built by all of you. Keep it growing in the comments, and happy Halloween!